city is one of humanity's oldest and most powerful technologies. For thousands of years, cities have been centers of commerce, culture, and power. But in the 21st century, their importance has only intensified. Today, we will explore urban advantage by examining it at four distinct scales, starting with human and expanding to the global. Four lenses, four mechanisms. By the end, you'll see how they reinforce each other to create a system that is greater than the sum of its parts. We will explore urban advantage by examining it at four distinct scales. Lens 1, the human spark. Success starts with irreplaceable value of human proximity. It's the engine of innovation that digital tools can augment but not replace. Lens 2, the creative street. Innovation isn't confined to boardrooms, it's born from the serendipitous encounters and diverse experiences found on vibrant city street. Lens 3, the operating system. A city's hardware infrastructure and software governance must work in concert. Great streets and innovative clusters expand on well-run, integrated citywide system. Lens 4, the global actor. In a world of global challenges, cities are becoming the most effective political actors. They are pragmatic, networked, and action-orientated in ways that nation states often are not. Let's examine each lens. Lens 1, the human spark. The foundational questions. What happens when bright people share the same space? This is where urban advantage begins. At the human level, face to face, in the same room, in the same building, on the same street. Digital tools are powerful, but they cannot replace this. Let me show you why. Michael Storper and Anthony Venables, urban economists, and they asked, why do knowledge-intensive industries cluster in cities? The conventional answer is obvious. Cities offer access to large labor markets, infrastructure and services, economies of scale. But Storper and Venables identified something deeper, something that cannot be replicated remotely. They call it buzz. Buzz is the energy and information that circulates when people with specialized knowledge share the same physical space. It's the hallway conversation, the coffee shop encounter, the impromptu brainstorming session. And what buzz transmits is tacit knowledge. Tacit knowledge is the complex, unwritten insights that drive innovation. It's not facts you can Google. It's not procedures you can document. It's intuition, judgment, experience, the kind of knowledge that can only be absorbed through observation, imitation, and interaction. You learn tacit knowledge by watching how experts solves a problem, by asking clarifying questions in real time, by feeling the room and adjusting your approach. This cannot be fully transmitted through a video call. You lose the body language, the tone, the spontaneous follow-up, the serendipitous connections. This need for proximity explains why knowledge-intensive industries, finance, law, tech, design, media, cluster in cities. Silicon Valley, Wall Street, Hollywood. These are not accidents. They are clustering effects driven by the need for buzz and tacit knowledge transfer. This is the first layer of urban advantage. the human spark, the irreplaceable value of physical proximity. Lens 2, the creative street. Buzz happens inside buildings, offices, labs, studios, but innovation also happens between buildings, on the street. The question: how does the physical layout of a neighborhood generate new ideas? This is where Jane Jacobs enters. Jane Jacobs, urbanist, activist, and one of the most influential thinkers on cities in the 20th century. Her core argument: urban vitality and radical innovation emerge from high density of diverse people, uses, and buildings. She called it the sidewalk ballet. The sidewalk ballet is the constant, unplanned interaction that happens on a vibrant city street. You walk past a cafe, a bookstore, an architect studio, a tech startup, a restaurant, different people, different industries, different ideas. And in this diversity, something happens. You overhear a conversation that sparks an idea. You meet someone at a coffee shop who introduces you to a new, completely different field. You see how a designer solves a problem and apply it to your own work. This is serendipity, unplanned encounters that create novel connections across different fields. Jacobs argued that this requires a specific kind of urban design. First, density. You need enough people in a small area that encounters happen frequently. Sparse suburbs don't create this. Only dense urban neighborhoods do. Second, diversity. You need a mix of uses: residential, commercial, cultural, not just office buildings, not just apartments, a mix. This ensures different kinds of people are on the street at different times of day. Third, mixed use buildings. Old buildings and new buildings, cheap rent and expensive rent. This allows different kinds of businesses and people to coexist in the same space. What Jacobs showed is that creativity is an emergent property of urban design, not just an outcome of co-locating similar firms. The human spark, Storper and Venables, explains why firms in the same industry cluster together. They need to share this tacit knowledge. But Jacobs explains why different industries cluster together. They need cross sector innovation. They need the creative collisions that happen on a diverse street. This is the second layer of urban advantage: the creative street, the physical design that generates serendipity. Lens 3, the operating system. You have the human spark, you have the creative street, but neither of these work without the third layer: infrastructure, governance, coordination. The question: what unseen systems allow a city to function at scale? This is where Michael Berridge enters. Michael Berridge, urban planner, and he studied what makes some cities extraordinarily functional while others struggle. His core argument: cities achieve their potential with their physical infrastructure, like transit and housing, is seamlessly aligned with their governance and planning systems. He calls this coordination, and when a city achieves it, he calls it the perfect city. Let me explain what this means. A city is not just buildings and streets, it's a complex system with multiple interdependent layers. Layer 1: physical infrastructure, transit, roads, water, electricity, waste management, housing. Layer 2: governance, zoning laws, building codes, tax policy, planning authorities. Layer 3: social infrastructure, schools, parks, healthcare, public safety. Most cities struggle because these layers are not coordinated. The transit authority doesn't talk to the housing authority. The zoning laws prevent the kind of mixed use development that Jane Jacobs advocated. The governance structure is fragmented across multiple jurisdictions. But in a well coordinated city, these layers align. Transit is planned in tandem with housing development. High density residential is built near transit hubs. Mixed use zoning encourages the sidewalk ballet. Governance structures allow for integrated decision making. The coordination is the hallmark of the perfect city. Examples: Singapore, Copenhagen, Zurich. These cities have achieved a high degree of coordination. Their infrastructure and governance work is concert. And this demonstrates that cities are powerful laboratories for governance. They're capable of tackling complex, systematic challenges through integrated planning and execution. This is the third layer of urban advantage: the operating system, the infrastructure and governance that enable human sparks and creative streets to function at scale. Lens 4: the global actor. We've examined the micro human proximity, the meso street design, the macro city systems. Now we zoom out to the global scale. The question: how are cities led by mayors solving problems that nations can't? This is where Benjamin Barber enters. Benjamin Barber, political theorist, and he argued that in the 21st century, cities led by mayors are becoming the most effective political actors. His core argument: mayors, unburdened by the ideological gridlock of national politics, form pragmatic networks to solve global problems like climate change, public health, and security. Cities get things done. Let me explain why. Nation states are paralyzed by ideology. National governments are trapped in partition battles, sovereignty disputes, and bureaucratic inertia. They struggle to act on global challenges because they must negotiate with dozens of other sovereign states, each with competing interests. But cities are different. First, mayors are, mayors are pragmatic. They are judged on results, not ideology. Garbage collection, public transit, crime rates, air quality. These are tangible problems with measurable outcomes. Mayors cannot hide their rhetoric. They must deliver. Second, cities share common challenges. A mayor in Los Angeles faces the same air pollution problems as a mayor in Beijing. A mayor in New York faces the same housing affordability crisis as a mayor in London. These are universal urban problems, and mayors can learn from each other. Third, cities form networks. The C40 Cities Climate Change Leadership Group, the Global Parliament of Mayors, these are transnational networks of cities that bypass national governments and coordinate directly on global challenges. What Barber shows is a fundamental shift in global power. For centuries, the nation state was the primary actor in international relations. Cities were subordinate. They implemented national policy. But now, cities are becoming independent actors. They negotiate climate agreements, They establish sister city partnerships. They coordinate public health responses. They shape global norms. This reframes our understanding of global power, positioning cities not just as economic engines, but as key diplomatic and political actors shaping the future. This is the fourth layer of urban advantage, the global actor, the ability to bypass gridlock national governments and take pragmatic action on the world stage. Now, let's see how these four layers reinforce each other. This is the urban flywheel. Step one, buzz and tacit knowledge. The human spark attracts talent to the city. Knowledge workers move to cities because that's where they can learn, collaborate, and innovate. Step two, this buzz is nurtured by diverse sidewalks, the creative street. A well designed urban environment creates serendipitous encounters that generate cross sector innovation. Step three, but diverse sidewalks require coordinated infrastructure and governance, the operating system. Without effective transit, housing policy, and zoning, you cannot create the density and diversity that James advocated. Step four, and cities with coordinated systems become pragmatic. Global actors, the global actor, they can move quickly, form networks, and solve problems that nations cannot. Step five, and here's where the flywheel completes. Global influence attracts more talent, more investment, more attention. This reinforces the buzz and restarts the cycle. This is why cities aren't more powerful than the sum of their parts. Each layer enables the next, and the entire system creates a reinforcing cycle of growth and innovation. Break one layer and the flywheel slows, but strengthen all four, and the city becomes unstoppable. So, if you're a city leader, a planner, a policymaker, or simply a citizen who cares about where you live, here are the four critical questions you must ask. Question one, the human spark. Are we creating spaces that maximize the potential for buzz and the transferred tacit knowledge? Are we attracting and retaining talent? Question two, the creative street. Is our urban fabric diverse, walkable, and mixed use, fostering serendipity and cross sector innovation? Are we designing streets that generate encounters? Question three, the operating system. Are our infrastructure investments and governance models fully aligned to support our economic and social goals? Are our systems coordinated? Question four, the global actor. Is our city leveraging its unique strengths to build global networks and take pragmatic action to the world stage? Are we bypassing gridlock and solving problems? These are not abstract questions. They are design principles, and they determine whether a city thrives or stagnates. Here's the final insight. A city is not a problem to be solved, it is an ecosystem to be cultivated. Cities are complex adaptive systems. They cannot be designed from a blueprint and then left alone. They must be continuously tended to. You cannot create buzz by mandate, but you can create the conditions for it by attracting talent, protecting affordable space for startups, enabling clustering. You cannot engineer serendipity, but you can design streets that increase the probability of it through density, diversity, and mixed use development. You cannot force coordination, but you can reform governance structures to align infrastructure with planning goals. You cannot impose global influence, but you can build networks, share best practices, and act pragmatically on shared challenges. The urban advantage is not a single factor, it is an interaction of four layers: human, street, system, global, each reinforcing the others. And understanding this architecture is essential to understanding where power and innovation will flow in the 21st century. See the structure behind the story. You've watched System Power. You now understand the four lenses on urban advantage. Subscribe for more structural analysis. Like to help see others see the machinery. Thank you for watching.